Why, hello! Hello! Hello, you wonderful people! Let me get over there. Hang on. Hang on a second. I got a little too fat for this. All right. Okay. Oh. How is everybody doing today? Oh, hopefully everything is good while I fix the autofocus. There we go. All right, welcome to another episode of the GregsynthVlog, and a couple slight changes on this episode. First one, new place to do these. Originally, I've been doing them over at my kitchen table that's over there, but I want a little change in scenery, so I have moved to my living room couch because, well, it's more comfortable, and second of all, you gotta, show this. This right here is a reproduction of a Crazy Tour poster. It has all of the London dates before the Hammersmith gig was added. As you can see, sold out, and yeah, crazy record discounts. I got this off of eBay for it wasn't a bad price at all, and I figured, hey, it needs a good home, so put it right on the wall up there, and it's gonna be featured in all my vlog videos because you gotta promote the Crazy Tour. There's only 5 gigs that have a recording, and we need more, and hopefully this sign will help. And then also right above the poster, right up there, that little sticker right above the E there, that came with my Nagoya 75 bootleg CD. So I figured, I don't want to lose it. I'll just stick it right up there. So it has a kind of a weird formation there. You got a nice big red poster here, and then right above it's a little sticker. But this will be the queen wall. Any posters I get, any pictures, stickers, tour dates, image of Freddie's vocal nodules is going to be put right on that wall, and I'll probably make adjustments to where I put the camera and everything. And hello there, Holly. Another difference between this video and previous GregsynthVlogs is the fact that I have 2 new cat companions. I have Holly, who is right here. She's the fatter of the 2 Calico sisters, and she really wants some lovin's right now, so she had to interrupt my video. And then over to the left side of my screen, who's currently scratching up the post over there, is a Jupiter. And, these 2 Calico cats are amazing. They're very, very affectionate. And they're lap cats. Holly probably just wants to nap right on my lap as I do this video, so I'll have to bear that in mind and hopefully not get too crazy. So yeah, if you're subscribed to my Facebook, you will see a lot of pictures of these cats all over it because I love these cats. They're amazing, and they've really helped me out and helped me get over my depression and very sad feelings when I lost Boo Boo Kitty. So these 2 Calico sisters have kind of got me out of a bad place and back into a good place. And I have these 2 wonderful cats to thank. And so yeah, about the vlogs in general. Yes, originally this one was supposed to be up, probably about 2 months ago, so I'm relatively late on this one. It was a mixture of stuff. Let's just say my machine parts have not been working properly, and I needed to recharge and make sure everything's a-okay. And make sure everything's all working properly and intact. And then Google Plus or YouTube, I don't know what's been who's at fault here, but I've been having some issues with comments being deleted off of videos and messages, and a lot of these are questions that people have asked me, so I had to actually go and tell people to, hey, ask these questions again and everything. And I managed to get everything all copy pasted right in here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, About four and a quarter pages of questions. So healthy amount of vlog questions, plenty of things to talk about. I see some users that I've seen on a regular basis on these vlogs. Others I've seen on comments. Others are new. Um, if I fuck up your name or your username, I do apologize. Because names aren't usually my strong suit when I'm trying to pronounce something that's even remotely foreign, because I sound like, some big jackass trying to, say something. But yeah, so, we'll get right into it. Um, I'm doing this on a certain day, and whoever has been following me on the Gregsynthbootlegs Facebook group knows that day. So, here's a nice little upload for you. And it's the first of many, because there's a lot more uploads around the corner to end this year and to go into next year. So, hopefully I'll get back into a sort of an uploading spree. So, without wasting too much time, let's get into the questions. First one is from Computer Hawks Gaming. I have a question. Yay! Why did Freddy's voice change from 1979 to 1980? And why did it change from 1986 to 1991? Like the Miracle and the Innuendo voice sounded different. Well, Mr. Computer Hawks Gaming, a couple questions in there. I will answer them to the best of my ability and knowledge. And before I start doing this, if I get something wrong on these questions, feel free to correct me in these comments, because the last thing I need is to be saying something that's incorrect or false or erroneous or something, and then that gets spread around thinking it's the gospel truth. So please feel free to elaborate and clarify and help me out on these. I'm only one person. I only got one mind, and I've been running off the rails lately. I need to get back on the rails, so I need all the help I can get. And back to the question about the voice change from 79 to 80. Well, it's a couple different factors. Around that time, Freddie was, growing into the macho role. Grew the mustache. Hair is shorter. And started to, behave a little bit more, macho, a lot of machismo, and talking about, getting down, making love, getting laid, getting fucked. So a lot of his voice changes from that year, 79 to 80, comparing Crazy Tour voice with Game Tour voice. It's Freddie just putting on a macho front. Just singing with more grit, more aggressive, sometimes overdoing songs. And, he just wanted to change his image up and appear, more manly. So, his style, his vocal style changed. And then along with that, you have, Freddie embracing more of the soul and R&B kind of vibes. And, he loved soul music, and he changed his style that way. Also with the, partying and smoking, what those did, it affected his stamina, and especially if you got, nodules on your cords, if you start abusing your voice with like chemicals and smoke, that's not the smartest thing to do, but Freddie can do what he wants. So basically, 79 to 80 voice changes mostly change of style, wanting to be more, macho, stuff along that lines. And as far as the vocal changes from 86 to 91, the primary reason was his illness. Because from 86 to 87-ish, Barcelona, Kind of Magic in there, he had pretty much the same voice if you compared the albums. Still had that, that powerful, really gritty voice, and Barcelona's the last album where he's singing at full power, with that powerful chest voice of his. But when you start to get into the Miracle and Innuendo, his tone starts to really sound different. He sounds thinner. That's the thing. His voice thinned out. He lost a lot of the punch behind his vocals through no fault of his own. He was unwell, he was ill, and he still continued to sing great. Don't get me wrong. Miracle has some great stuff, and Innuendo has some of his all-time best studio performances. But the change in tone through the late '80s into the Innuendo era was because Freddie was, suffering from AIDS. You lose weight. It changes your tone. It affects your breathing. Another thing is he changed his style on those albums a bit. There's a lot less of that vibrato that that was a well-known style of his in the '80s. There's not as much vibrato on those albums, especially Innuendo and the Made in Heaven tracks. And so a little bit of a stylistic change. He sang lighter, had a thinner tone, slightly more nasal in spots, especially on the Innuendo album. But again, illness. But his head voice was in spectacular shape. His blending and reaching notes. With mix was a lot more intact and sounded better. And part of that could be because he was with Montserrat Caballé on the Barcelona sessions. She taught him how to breathe and maybe gave him some pointers on stuff. And so a variety of things, mostly related to the illness. Good questions. Now we go to Mr. Ethan Thompson Murray, aka EC Productions, who was featured in the recent Crazy Tour debate and did a hell of a job for being on a debate for the first time, and I welcome you to join all the future ones. He has a number of questions. Question 1, he says, question time. I asked 40 questions last time, so I'll go easy on you. So yeah, this dude asked 40 questions on the last vlog and just about destroyed my voice, but he was nice enough to only do 8. So thank you for that. First one is the Great King Rap performances on the Works tour is awesome. Discuss. Well, I actually like it on the Works tour. I think it was a nice little sieg into that little old school melody, medley, I should say. I need to check up on my English words. That's what happens when you do vlogs and stuff. When you have like chemicals in you and a long work day and stuff. Your brain and your mouth don't tend to match. But in terms of the medley, I do like the Great King Rap. Now, it all depends on the versions because there's some that I just want to cringe at. But, I think it was a cool segue. And the good versions sound really good. And I love the falsetto. So that, always makes me feel good. Question 2. Can you hit an A5? Hell no. If you want me to visibly struggle and kill myself, then I'll try. I don't want to do that. I'll let somebody, hit me somewhere so I can reach that note. So maybe someone else can. Question 3. Radio Gaga from Brussels the first night and Dublin is awesome. He nails the chorus parts. Agree. Yeah, those are fairly strong performances. The vocals on the whole are good. Fairly fresh voice. It being early performances, it kind of sounds a little bit rough in spots in terms of like the band performance, a little bit sloppy, but vocally those versions are quite good and far better than some of the later versions. So yeah, I pretty much agree with you. Question 4. The second Vienna break free is surprising. Yes. See you next month. Thought of some more. So, I don't know. Probably he had 4 questions and decided to come back and ask, the remaining 4. But yeah, about that second Vienna version of Break Free, it is surprising because, yeah, okay, Fred's voice is not in good shape at all on that gig. And yeah, the Break Free is pretty rough overall, but he somehow manages to hit the bridge higher bit without like sounding too off, and I'm like, wow. So it is kind of a little surprising moment, and but it's like, man, those gigs just make me want to throw up half the time. Great quality though. And yeah, see you next month. So we go into the final 4 questions he asked. Live Killers or Live Magic? 2 live releases of Queen that I do not like and are not my favorites. Live Killers being, it's a Frankenstein butcher job. Freddie not sounding too hot. Could have been a way better live album if it was recorded on the Crazy Tour, but even if it was restricted to the Live Killer shows from Brussels through to Paris when they started recording it, I'm pretty sure just about every Queen fan that's on my page can make a better Live Killers. So no, I do not like Live Killers for a variety of reasons. And Live Magic I'm not a fan of either because of, butchering of the songs, shortening songs, condensing songs. I kind of understand what they were trying to go for. It may have been like a kind of like a starter live album for like a casual fan. Like, here you go, here's a snippets of Queen on their 86 tour, I think that's more of like a casual fan type release, to kind of suck them into the whole Queen fandom. But even back when I was getting into Queen and getting all the official stuff, I really was not big on Live Magic because I had the Wembley release, with the full songs to make do with that. But yeah, I think Live Magic could have been a lot better. They could have just done the full Nebworth show, from the soundboard, release that, and that would have been fine. But yeah, 2 live albums that could have been better and are low on my favorite albums list for Live Queen. If I had to pick one, that's a very good question. I do prefer Freddie's singing on the Magic Tour over Live Killers Tour. Although I think the band sound better on the Live Killers Tour, and I prefer the set list. The sound quality is a lot better on Live Magic, so it's probably a tie on that if I were to weigh it all. But from a musical standpoint, set list, I'll go for Live Killers. For quality standpoint, I'll go for Live Magic. Question 6. Would you like a pair of Freddie's Adidas trainers on the Magic Tour? I would. Same here. Yay. Agreed. Question 7. Nike or Adidas or neither? I don't wear neither shoe, but if I had to pick one, I had to pick Adidas because Freddie wore them. Question 8. When is the bloopers video going to be uploaded? The all waiting, the much anticipated 4.5 hour blooper video. It will be released sometime next year. Now, when next year, I don't know. It could be in a couple of weeks, could be a year from today. But I will guarantee you that it will be released, and hope you'll enjoy it. And I won't put a deadline on it because I may surprise you. But I promise it will not take another year because I think it's about time that this video gets put onto the channel, and hopefully nobody cries after listening to it, and hopefully I don't get pitchforks and torches thrown at me for putting bloopers of my favorite band all over the internet. But a couple channels have done very good at doing blooper videos. Chin Wonder 2 and the MC Sandman dude are the prime offenders on that, and they got some great shit on their channel with the vocal fails and the mistakes and all that bullshit. Those are funny videos, and I liked watching those and just seeing the comments and just listening to like the same section on songs over and over again with fuck ups. That's just it got me in a good mood and put a smile on my face. So thank you for that. So there we go. Hopefully Ethan's happy with those answers. Next set comes from Dave Rosanero or something like that. Sorry if that's butchered. He asked several questions. 6 of them in total. We'll start with number 1. Thank you, Greg, for your answers for the last vlog. I have some other questions. Okay, here we go. Is there a concert where Freddie takes Chesty D5? Okay. Chesty D5. If you're talking full, like non-falsetto, there's a couple here and there. Like, there was like an ad-lib in Stockholm 86's Now I'm Here, and the Edinburgh Save Me D5, but those are more like, I don't know if like, they're more like kind of like lowish quality notes or something like that. So I mean in terms of Chesty, I don't think there is any. I mean, there's some ones that are heady, but nothing powerful, nothing like record really. But I mean, there's a couple have decent ones like from VN82's Dust, and I think the Under Pressure D5 is okay, but I mean, beyond that, really nothing. Question 2. Why Freddie didn't remove his nodules? I think he would have done better concerts. Well, that's a very good question, but I'm Freddie ain't with us to reveal the answer, but I can only guess on this. But my guess is because he didn't want to risk changing his voice up and potentially losing it. Because the thing is, if he had a successful operation, great, he could still perform. But what would happen? It'd be unpredictable. Would his range be compromised? Would his voice lower? Would he lose range? I mean, vocal surgery is very unpredictable. I mean, there are some singers that come out of vocal surgery very well and still remain pretty much the same, if not better. Like Graham Bonnet. Then there's others who have really had vocal changes from surgery, like Bonnie Tyler got her signature raspy voice from screaming after nodule surgery, and then you got Elton John, who his voice changed a bit, but then then it went really deep as the years went on, so that was kind of a mix of age and stuff. But you don't want a Julie Andrews where you completely lose your singing ability or lose just about all of it. So I don't think he had him removed because he just didn't want to take the risk on potentially losing his instrument. Um, and thinking about it, I'm glad he actually didn't get him removed, because what it did was it forced him to work around the problem and become a better singer over the years, in certain aspects. But if it was a Utopia universe, I would have loved to have Freddie have surgery when he got the nodes in '75, clean bill of health, and be able to nail stuff very well. Hello, Jupiter. Yes, that's Jupiter, the other cat. But yeah, good question. Question 3: which Freddie's voice do you prefer? '70s voice, the '80s voice, or the innuendo voice? Well, that's a lot of stuff crammed into one question there. All those voices have something to offer. The innuendo voice, even though it's not my favorite tone of Freddie, features some of his absolute best singing. So that gets a lot of credit. I mean, the show must go on. It's fucking stellar, and I'm going slightly mad as the baritone singing. The title track's amazing. Don't Try So Hard has the great singing. So yeah, innuendo is great. Now, voice in terms of, let's say, the tone. I'm going to think the tone here. Not so much the singing aspect, but just the general tone. I would say the '70s voice. I think, as great as he sang in the '80s and powerful as he was, and some of his best studio work came from that decade, the '70s voice just sounded, nicer in a way. It sounded more youthful, cleaner, a little bit, more diverse. So I mean, the '70s voice may not be, say, as strong as like '80s or something, but the '70s voice has a lot of charm about it, and that it was a very diverse voice, and a very nice voice, and I love that voice. So I'd say out of all of those, if I'm talking about the tone of his voice, I would have to say '70s. Now, what part of the '70s, if I wanted to get really specific, I love his soft tone on, like, Night at the Opera and Day at the Races. But, if I think, my favorite '70s voice, it would have to be probably the later bit of the '70s. That News of the World voice is a fucking awesome voice. It's diverse. It's got a little bit of that rock and grit into it. That's a fucking amazing voice right there. So I would say, if I were to be specific, the later '70s studio voice would be probably my favorite voice Freddie had. Now, I'm not talking singing or technical aspects. I'm just talking the general tone. And, that's my favorite voice. So, yeah, I'm on record for preferring a mustacheless, less, whatever the fuck that word is. I prefer Freddie without the mustache, tonal-wise, from the late '70s. So, yeah, Dimitri's probably all fucking happy now. And other people who joined in on the crazy debate probably are thinking, like, what the hell? Good question. Question 4. Is there a video of Leiden's A Kind of Magic? I just fucking love that version. The B4s are incredible. Well, I agree with that. That's an amazing version. No, there's no Leiden videos that, to my knowledge, of any of those that kind of match up performances. Only video I know of is the One Vision from the second Leiden. But I don't know of any other videos from the other shows or a kind of magic. So, but hopefully we do. Question 5. What is the song that is more similar to the studio version of any concert? Maybe We Are the Champions from Live Aid. Okay, I'm thinking a song that sounds just like the studio version live, if I were to compare it. Oh, stuff like the Radio Gaga from Live Aid. That vocal is fucking spot on. That's you know, that's a lot of people claim it is his number one studio vocal, and I can see why, because it's flawless pretty much. But if I were to say other songs that were along that line, I would probably say probably the Save Me performances from the Crazy Tour, especially the ones earlier in the tour where his voice is fresher, like Glasgow and the Newcastles. Those are pretty spot on with the record. Need Your Lovin' Tonight from Oakland 80 is one where the studio vocals are nailed live, which is awesome. And to a lesser extent, the Rocket Prime Jive, although that's totally different voice because it's Freddie singing it live as opposed to Roger. Although if you were to compare the intro, it's pretty close. But there's a few performances here and there like that where it's pretty close like that. Another one could be the One Vision from the second Leiden, because that's like pretty much studio quality. That's a fucking great performance. So yeah, there's some songs for you. And the last question: where are you from? Well, I'm from Earth, in the continent of North America, country of the United States, the state of Michigan, and a little town called Waterford, which is about 45 minutes outside of Detroit. And I'm in my apartment with my two fat cats. One's on my lap and one's right to the left of me. And thank you for those questions, Dave. Next person is Sunly1983. New to the channel. What's your all-time favorite live song performance? Oh, only one question. This will be a quick one. Oh, and it's not, because it's a very hard question to answer, because there's a lot of great performances. All-time favorite live. Oh, that changes pretty much every day, because I put on a new Queen show every now and then and just listen to it, and it changes all the time. But at the moment, I would have to say I would have to say the Liar from Newcastle '79. Oh, what a fucking amazing version that is. The vocals are outstanding. And if you want to hear an excellent rant about that song, a positive rant, just go to the Crazy Tour debate with the Liar discussion. And it wasn't even me that did the rant. It was, my best friend, TSS Killer, a.k.a. Dimitri, who absolutely just went into that song and just praised it. I mean, he was on record for saying it was as good as Radio Gaga from Live Aid. So I would have to go with the Liar from Newcastle is my favorite live performance as of now. It'll probably be different by the time I end this vlog. Thank you. Ratford has a few questions for me, and I'll start with the first one. What is the best performance of Liar from the Hot Space and the Works tour? Oh, another Liar question. Hot Space. Every version's solid. Frankfurt is very good overall. I really love that version. Also, the Brussels version and the Leiden version are also very strong overall. I would recommend those three performances. I believe Frankfurt is the most solid out of all of them if you were to compare a balance of vocals and instrumentation. But on the earlier ones, Freddie's a little bit more gutsy with the singing. But those three from the Hot Space tour, Brussels, Leiden, and Frankfurt, are the go-to versions. They are great. Now from the Works tour, the medley version, the short version. Well, if I were to pick ones, I would probably pick the ones like Double in 84, where Fred's tone sounds very good and powerful and sounds like Hot Space. That's a good one. I like I also like the Stuttgart one a lot. So I mean, I think he sounds great on those. So I would probably go with Dublin for the Works tour because his tone just sounds fresh and good. So there we go. Question 2: what's your opinion on the new Queen and Adam Lambert tour? You know, the set list and production and performance and everything. Um, well, let's see. I saw them 2 times earlier this year. Once in Detroit and Cleveland. I saw them on 2 shows. Out of the times I saw them, because I've seen them 5 times, 3 in 2014, Auburn Hills, and 2 Toronto shows, and then Auburn Hills, and then Cleveland for this year. I would say this tour is better. The performances I thought were just about as good, if not stronger. I think Adam sounds better now. Tone's a little bit darker, and he has more control over his voice. And I really enjoyed it. The Cleveland show was the best time I've seen Queen and Adam Lambert out of the 5 times, and thankfully that was the one that I was able to record a bootleg out of, because I attempted to do it at Auburn Hills, but they caught me at the gate with my accordion equipment, and it was pretty embarrassing. But thankfully I just returned it to the car. But yeah, I was kind of pissed at that, but thankfully Cleveland turned out to be all right. Yeah, I do like the set list, and I'm bummed out that they dropped It's Late and Spread Your Wings from my shows, but it is what it is. At least I can watch the performances and listen to them on YouTube and in bootleg sites. And I thought the set list was fine. I wish they did more deep cuts, though. But I understand that, this is like for like the greater masses, more the casual fan throwing a couple bones out. So, I mean, I'm not too mad about that. I wish they'd do a deep cuts tour, though. As far as the production, oh yeah, this, the recent tour, absolutely amazing. Best production out of the tours. The 2014 tour was great, but this is even better. So, yeah, I'm pretty positive about the shows I saw earlier, and I would see these guys again, if they came to my area, and hopefully I can, record more shows and not, be stupid and let it, go off. So, there we go. And then the final question from Ratford. What's the best I'm in love with my car performance without Freddie on the vocals? Okay, so sadly that means I got to take all the News of the World versions out because that has Freddie. Okay, some really good ones without Freddie singing in there. There's a lot of great ones from the Jazz Tour Live Killers. I think the one on Providence 78 is very good overall. The Zurich one on Live Killers is great. I'm in Love with My Car from Hammersmith 79 is very good. Pretty much it's very consistent. So it's gonna be one of those things where I think everyone's gonna have like a different answer or something, but those 3 in particular stand out in a very positive way. So go with one of those versions. Thank you for those questions. And then the next question I got is from Rory McGrath. And he says, do you believe Freddie's live vocal decline from 84 to 86 could have been avoided? Yes. Well, what happened was, okay, you have to go back to about the Hot Space tour. After the European leg, the last few gigs, solid, awesome singing by Freddie. And then he goes they go to the North American tour. As the tour goes on into Japan, Fred's voice starts to sound darker and tired and a little bit more tore up. You got the touring, you got the nodes, also the partying. Freddie loved to party, and if you do all that offstage excess, and you go on stage, you do a world tour, and you belt out songs for 90 minutes or so, yeah, it's going to take a toll. And then, when you go into 84, what happened there was, well, obviously he was still a party animal, and, smoking with nodules will affect your stamina and screw up your register switching and cause you to sing more forcefully, which isn't good. And why his vocals deteriorated so fast for that tour is that, but also, Queen, his voice wasn't really, I would say, oiled. And what I mean by that is, if you don't sing for a long time, you gotta get back into shape. If you don't use it, you lose it. So what I think what it was is, you don't practice. You probably didn't practice enough in terms of getting his voice into touring shape. And then if you combine that with like the excess partying and all that garbage, you're basically putting the writing on the wall. Like, how to deteriorate a voice. And that's how it got really bad throughout the works tour really fast. Just, offstage excess and vocal stamina's in the basement and just, stuff like that. And then 85 is a little bit better because, the dates aren't as crammed, but still there's those are problems here and there in Australia, second Rio, and to an extent the Osaka show. But its voice wasn't nearly as bad overall on that leg of the tour, that year I should say. Live Aid, fantastic. 2 months of rest, short set, go all out, nail your songs. And then for the Magic Tour, for that, again, stamina issues, although it wasn't nearly as bad because Freddie had toned down the excesses on that tour. And although yes, his voice did lose range and got pretty shouty at times on that tour, especially as the tour progressed, it didn't deteriorate as bad, and he still had a passable range, even in Zurich, where he can still somehow be able to sing decently on some songs. And so stamina issues, combining that with nodes, and then other stuff, it can wreak havoc on a live voice. So yeah, the live vocal decline in those years could have been avoided, but it did not. And I'm all right with that because it is what it is, and it's fine. Although I wish he would have sounded like the Crazy Tour more often. That would have been a treat. But we got what we get. Good question, by the way. And then next questions, or series of questions, would be from Malkov. Hopefully I said that right. Question is, I have this question. Why Freddie wasn't using falsetto in his live performances when he showed that he could easily do it in the numerous impromptus? In some Love of My Life versions, and at the end of Somebody to Love, and You Take My Breath Away, at the start of It's a Hard Life, and Under Pressure and Lap of the Gods. That's a really good question, and I've been asked about the falsetto stuff quite a bit in the comments, and I am no vocal expert. I do not claim to know everything about how the voice works. I just know some things from either reading up on it, or having a book, or learning from people who know a lot more about me. So I take in all the info I can and absorb it like a sponge. But what I think about the falsetto and why it wasn't used a lot, except in those things you mentioned, was it could have been something with the nodules. I mean, I've read that using falsetto with polyps or nodules is very difficult, and it could probably irritate his voice. Also, it could be projection issues. I mean, maybe he didn't think it was strong live, or he couldn't get enough support behind it, so he just chose to sing in his natural register more. That's my best guess about that. Lack of falsetto. I would say it's maybe a mix of projection issues, maybe something with the nodes, and also maybe possibly confidence, because maybe Freddie didn't like his tone, or maybe didn't like how it sounded, or how it sounded in the live environment, or if we were to do something like on the fly. I don't know, but I mean, that's the best I can offer. I mean, hopefully that is something. But I'm always interested in that. Thanks for the question. And then Mr. Joseph Staub, who also appeared on the Crazy Tour debate for a bit, but did quite well. And yes, I invite you as well for another debate. Joseph said, "What is your favorite of the officially released Queen DVDs? And also, what do you think is Queen's equivalent to Dance of Death?" Okay, first part of that. My favorite one that's officially released is Live at the Bowl. Um, I love that set list. The Hot Space songs sound great live. It's got the epic Somebody to Love. Everybody's in top form. Freddie sounds magnificent overall. The stage presentation was great. And it's a generally an awesome performance. And I like Live at the Bowl because even though the sound quality is not quite as good as it could be because of like compression, it's still okay for me. It's largely untouched. I mean, yes, there's some minor fixes here and there, but it's nothing like, it's not horrible. They got it just right with the fixes there, and if you compare it with the audience recordings, most of it matches up. So that's why I like Live for the Bowl a lot. I think it's a great performance, great show, great release. I always recommend that to people for the live stuff if they want like an all around great performance. And the second part of that, what is Queen's equivalent to Dance of Death? Now, I know what you think of Dance of Death. So anyone who's not familiar with that Iron Maiden album, Joseph has a couple things that are less than kind to say about that album. That's all I will say. But if I were to say something that's equivalent to that, that's very good. I don't think Queen has ever released an album that could be considered to be as bad. I mean, I don't think it's a bad album, really, Dance of Death, but you absolutely loathe it. If I were to pick something that I absolutely loathe from Queen officially, I mean, my least favorite release of theirs is A Kind of Magic. But I still think there's a few great songs on it, so I don't think it's a total disaster, but I'd say that's the closest to the equivalent because it's my least favorite album, and there's only, few songs I actually like. But so that's the closest I can think of. But yeah, I still would take Queen's worst albums over some other stuff because I still think there's some quality work on them. Thanks for the questions, Joe. And now we flip to page 2. And as I check my disk space there because I got a little notification. Sorry about that. Now we go to a user, one of my favorite users on the page, one of my favorite subscribers from Poland. We have Chopin 1995, who excitably has written numerous questions here, and I will answer them. Hi, Greg. I have some questions. Yay, I have some answers. First question, how are you? How is your life going? I'm doing quite fine overall. Got the kitty cat on my lap here, and I'll, show you. There's Holly, and then there's my notes right there, and then good old Jupiter's right there. So yeah, I am doing good, and life's going pretty well. Just waiting for 2017 to be over to move into 2018. So yeah, everything's going pretty good. Can you say something in Polish? Oh, fucking hell. Well, my Polish skills aren't actually known to be very good, but the only phrase I know is like "jak się masz." That's it. I'm sorry if I even mispronounced that. So you could teach me some curse words or something, but that's probably the only phrase I know off the top of my head. Question 3. Is there any chance we will see Hammersmith 79 in a full concert release? Do they have the full video? I read some very old threads on Queen Zone where some guy wrote that there are some collectors that have full footage of this great concert. Is it possible? Can Seek, Ghost with a Smile, on Queen Zone have it? He uploaded a snippet of Spread Your Wings on his YouTube channel. I'm sure you've seen it already. Yes, I have. And yes, Seek has a lot of great material on his channel. That's why it's called the Queen Legacy channel, because he's preserving the legacy by uploading some great shit. Let's see. For the full concert release. I would love that show to be released officially in full, not cut up. I know there's like 75, 80 minutes of video on YouTube. And yeah, I have read that there is the full video. I believe it was shown at a Queen convention in '89, I think. But I think the reason why it hasn't been released is because they lost the multi-tracks or something to that effect, or it was stolen or something. They just had a stereo mix. I'm like, well, that's bullshit. I just put it on a stereo. I don't care if there's mistakes, you know. And I would take a legit raw live show like that with a couple, you know, minor gaffes over something that's doctored to death and all that crap. So, yeah, I mean that's my guess for Hammersmith. So yeah, absolutely. I would love for that to be officially released in full. Question 4. Have you ever been to Europe? If so, is there something very different between Europe and U.S., cultural differences or whatever? No, I have not been to Europe at all. I would love to go to Europe. I'd love to visit some countries there to check out the culture and to tour. The only country I have traveled to is Canada, and I drove. So there you go. That's the closest I can say to traveling, but I would love to go to Europe. Question 5. Do you think having absolute pitch can help you with singing? Intonation, all that stuff. I don't have absolute pitch, but I would like to attend some singing lessons next year. And I wonder if having absolute pitch makes singing easier. Yes, I heard your body language rendition. It was quite interesting. Love your channel. Oh, that fucking performance. Yeah, the keyword about that performance. First time I sang that live, voice was not in good shape, not warmed up, didn't practice the fucking song, and you got what you got. You got me sounding like pure ass. But everyone likes to hear me fail, and it was a funny performance, so ha ha. And yeah, having absolute pitch. Well, I don't believe it would help with, say, on a purely technical level of singing. It'll help you determine pitch, and if you're off, and I tell you, after that body language performance, I'm like, man, I was fucking off the whole time, you know, not good at all. It can help with, you know, being precise with pitch and going for notes and aiming for them and maybe doing scales, but when it comes down to like actually singing, you know, like melody lines and doing songs, I think that'll just come from like just skill but yeah, I think absolute pitch can have its benefits and stuff, but I think largely no. I think you just got to be dedicated to your craft and just practice, and you know, listen to stuff over and over again and correct the pitch, you know, if it's off, you know, and you just keep practicing. But you know, I don't know if it'll make it easier, the singing, but it'll make it easier to hear mistakes, at least for me. So there you go. Thanks for the questions. Then we go to the next user. Is entitled the QSM, and this user writes, "What do you think about the News of the World box set release? Will you pay for that? And are you excited about the second CD with the alternative versions? Thanks in advance for your answer and have a great day. QSM." You know, I think the box set, I like it. What I really love is the alternative versions, as you mentioned, and you know that live sleeping on the sidewalk, and you know, it's nice to have the BBC sessions from '77 on there, and it's a good release. I think it's great to introduce somebody to that era. Do I think it should have been better? Yes. More studio outtakes. I want a full show from that tour release. I don't care if it's Houston, or better yet, put the sleeping on the sidewalk gig. It's either Portland or Boston or they're fused together. I want one of those gigs released. That'd be great. Yes, I will pay for it. Yes, I will get it. And yes, I liked the alternative versions. And there you go. Have a nice day. Thank you. And then the next question comes from a user who I appreciate his contributions to the channel. Likes to listen to the live stuff and make his comments, and I enjoy reading what he says. And I wish he would appear on a debate. That user is the guy on the street, aka one of the few people who can safely give the best version of 39 from the Crazy Tour, because I can't fucking decide between Liverpool or the two Newcastles. The guy on the street says this: "Hey, Greg, what do you think is the best Queen tour, excluding the Crazy Tour and News of the World Tour?" Ooh, that's very good, actually. Because I think there's some great gigs on a lot of the other tours. If I were to say stuff like a best tour, well, the early stuff is really cool because they were very raw and hungry. Opera tour is really good musically. I would say if I were to pick something outside of those two, overall, I would probably go with like something like the Sheer Heart Attack tour, because you have great musicianship. The band are still raw and hungry, and they're on the verge of superstardom. And Freddie was consistent on that tour, so I mean it's a very good tour, and I like the sets, especially in Japan. So I probably will go with the Sheer Heart Attack tour on that one, with honorable mentions to the Queen 1 and Queen 2 eras. And then the next question to add to that, there's a track on the bonus CD that was titled "Sleeping on the Sidewalk," live in the USA. What do you think of that? And do you believe they played it more than once? And do you hope to find a bootleg with this song one day? Well, it's either from Portland or Boston, or a mix of both. That's what I know, because the song was dropped after the first couple of gigs. Although someone has said that it was also played at the second Detroit show on that tour, and there's no recording of that to confirm that or a set list. So kind of wishy-washy on that. But hopefully there is another version of it that was played. And I hope to find a bootleg with that performance on it, and maybe listen to the whole show. So absolutely. And then, and I thought the performance was very good overall. I liked how Freddie sang it. Very different from Brian, but very effective. And then next question, guy on the street asks, what songs would you have liked to have heard on the Crazy Tour that weren't on the set list? As I said on the Crazy Tour debate, I would love to have "It's Late" on the set list, because Freddie could probably sing it and nail it. I would love for them to revive older songs, since the Crazy Tour, they're going back to their roots, small venues, theaters, clubs, do a little rotating set with some of the older material in there, like White Queen, maybe Ogre Battle, or, Father, Son and Daughter, stuff like that. Maybe put White Man back in the set. Revive it. That would have been great. So yeah, I would say those songs. And then the second to last question is what is the worst concert Queen ever did? Well, vocally it's Japan 79 stuff, like Fukuoka and Tokyo and that bullshit. Musically, from the bootlegs, probably something like Dallas 78. Maybe to a lesser extent some of those Works Tour shows where he got Freddie shot. But stuff that hasn't been recorded that have gotten some bad reviews from the Queen members. There's this one gig in 74. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but it was in the UK. Roger said it was the worst gig that the band ever played, and it was the one where Freddie didn't have a piano, but he had a Wurlitzer electric piano. So imagine White Queen and Seven Seas of Rye on a Wurlitzer. Oh, that would have been great. I think it was like Canvey Island or something. I probably fucked that up, but it was that gig, because the band, Roger said it was the worst gig that the band played. And what's the best concert Queen ever did outside of the Crazy Tour? Oh, that's tough. depends on your criteria of what a best concert is. I would say some good ones would be probably some of the strongest news of the world shows. Maybe stuff like um, you know, I love Detroit, but I wouldn't put it up there because the band were still a little bit sloppy. Maybe okay, Philadelphia a little bit better. Um, the recent LA show could be a contender, but it's cut. Maybe stuff like Stockholm and Copenhagen '78. Uh, stuff like that. Um, there's some really awesome races tour shows. Glasgow and Bristol are great. Also, some great stuff from '81. Like Buenos Aires and Sao Paulo. Live Aid from honorable mention, and then there's some great hot space tour shows like Edinburgh, Leeds. Brian says that was his favorite gig, so there you go, maybe something like that. So there's some nominations for you. Thank you for the questions, Guy on the street. And okay, so then we're gonna go to the next person, and this person is Jordan, aka Chin Wonder 2. Who did a little feature on the Crazy Tour debate. He was originally supposed to show up, but scheduling conflicts prevented him, so he recorded his thoughts. And here we go with his questions. And it starts with questions for vlog. Question 1. Best and worst versions of It's a Hard Life. Well, okay, now we're going to do a little heads tails here. On the heads part, the good side, some really good versions. The very first performance from Brussels, excellent overall. Great singing by Freddie, nails the intro, mostly clean singing. The outro's very good, instrumentally is good. Also, Dublin and the first Birmingham are also very good versions overall. The first Rio is also good, a little bit rougher in spots, and despite the little making up the lyrics in the verse, but overall it's pretty solid. The first couple of Japan versions are also quite nice. But if I were to pick the best one out of all of them, it would be the very first performance, Brussels. Clean intro, good singing overall, ending is nailed. So yeah, I go with the Brussels. As far as the worst versions, I got a few hours. The last Birmingham is a little rough. All the London ones sound bad, especially the infamous one, the dreaded 9/7, as it's been called all over YouTube, aka It's a Hard Song. That one the intro is just legendary for all the wrong reasons. Dortmund isn't too hot either, and then you got like ones like Munich and Paris where Freddie tries to do the intro and just can't hit it at all, and it just sounds awful. The Vienna ones are terrible. Second Rio isn't too hot. I mean, it's like if you want the absolute worst, I mean, the 9/7 one's infamous, but the worst ones are probably the Vienna versions, especially the second night with like the failed introduction and just sounding really strained and bad. But yeah, it's amusing to hear, but it's not pretty to hear. If you want to hear a good version, just stay far away from that. Just listen to the very first performance and you'll be just fine. And then Jordan also asks the best and worst versions of 39. A lot of great versions. News of the World Tour has some excellent ones. I find the most solid ones to be after they put the harmonizer on Freddie's voice to replace Roger Taylor, because Roger had a lot of trouble hitting the upper octaves and would often go flat, or his voice would give out and it would cause some instability in the harmonies. Even going back to the earliest performances, I'm talking like, the summer of '76 performances and the early Races tour. Even back then, Roger was not always getting up to the highest parts clean, and a little off-putting. So in the end, I'm glad they put the harmonizer in Freddie's voice, so that whole vocal interlude section was overall more solid, and it sounded better, unless Fred's voice was totally shot. As far as the best ones, a lot of great News of the World tour versions. Berlin is a really good one. Stockholm, Copenhagen are great. Vienna's is very good too. And then you got the crazy tour versions, with the embellishment style singing by Freddie. Liverpool and those Newcastle versions. I can't figure out the best version, but everyone else can. And then for worst versions, well, if you want for Freddie's singing, it would be Japan '79. Like Fukuoka is really bad. Either of them are. And then that 423 Tokyo with the really high quality, and the 424 Tokyo with the really high quality just highlight the straining vocals, and just it's pretty awful. But if you want to hear some questionable harmony ones in the middle interlude section where they go up there, the News of the World tour versions before they go to the harmonizer. So any like the later '77 ones will have Freddie doing a great job, and the harmonies are great. But then once you get into that vocal interlude and you hear Roger trying to go up, it's not the prettiest singing. But if you want the absolute worst versions, just go to Japan '79. The best ones, News of the World tour, Crazy tour. And then the best and worst versions of Somebody to Love. Well, it's actually easier to name really good ones than bad ones. I'll start with the worst versions on that one. Worst ones, the Fukuoka version, the second Fukuoka, is probably the worst version of the song because of the really bad tone by Freddie, the straining in the mid range, and the bad bridge, and just out of key left and right. There's also some really bad ones, like the other Fukuoka and the Tokyo ones, like from like 23, 24, 25, those Tokyos. But it's if you want the worst of the worst, it'd be that Fukuoka version, and I'm talking the full versions. If you want the worst of the condensed medley ones, 9/7 and Vienna are your go-to versions. And then now for the best ones, a lot of great ones. Newcastle '79, Either Night is up there as the best one. Love the Liverpool one. Stockholm '78 is great. A lot of great '81 versions. Buenos Aires, Caracas, and Sao Paulo, Montreal. So many great versions from Crazy Tour through to '81. And then there's a lot of great Hot Space Tour versions. Milton Keynes, Edinburgh, Leeds, Kassel, Munich, and Hamburg are also top notch. So hopefully that helps out. Thanks for starting it again. No problem. Then we go to the user JJ, who has about 8 questions or so, and it goes on to the next page. Starts off, okay, here are the questions. Number 1, your thoughts on Elton's vocal part on That's What Friends Are For, especially the part at 2 minutes, and then if you can remember. I think Elton did a great job on that song. Very powerful singing, great belts. He sounds very powerful, very soulful at times. And I think he does a great job. And hello, Holly. Yeah, Holly wants to join again. And I think it is brilliant. And then and then says also the '88 live version was a good performance from him. I agree. That's a great live version. Question 2. Thoughts on Freddie's tribute concert. Apart from George Michael, no one had a chance with the songs. Maybe Axl and Plant. I have the Freddie Mercury tribute concert on a broadcast version, the unedited broadcast. I'll have to go through it again just to kind of, get the gears going in my head. But I remember hearing some questionable stuff, like, as you mentioned, Robert Plant didn't sound too hot at the tribute concert, especially on Innuendo. Crazy was okay. Axl, it is what it is. I think George Michael was absolutely fantastic. Probably is the best performer on that whole show. He nailed the song. He sounded great. He has a knack for doing very good covers of other artists. So, I appreciated George Michael's take on Somebody to Love. I also think Metallica did a good set. I loved their Stone Cold Crazy. And, Extreme was pretty good. Gary Sharon had some trouble with Hammer to Fall, but overall I think, the energy was there, and it was pretty decent, especially compared to some of the other performances. But yeah, that's a little quick thought about it. Question 3. When did Freddie hit some original falsetto parts live? We know the Under Pressure parts from Montreal '81, but anything else? Under Pressure, probably never again. Play the Game, never. Now I'm Here, in My Eye, never. It's a Hard Life was sung in the beginning of the Works tour. Okay, for original falsettos. Yeah, Under Pressure, only ones with the falsetto would be the Montreal ones. No other performance has it like that at all. Not even the best '82 versions. But if you want falsetto, you'd have to go to the Works tour, but it's in a completely different part of the song. Play the Game. Falsetto, no. All the verses would be sung in belted mix, even on the earliest performances where it was sung more like the record, but still had the non-falsetto vocal. But yeah, there are a lot of great versions of Play the Game as well. Now I'm Here, in My Eye. That bit, the only one I can recall with falsetto would be Stockholm. '86, the very first date of the Magic Tour. I believe that is the only time Freddie has hit that phrase with falsetto. Everything else has either been a conservative phrasing or the original note but full voice. But as far as I know, that's the only time Freddie did falsetto on that line, and I kind of was taken aback by it. I was like, wow, he actually did it. And then It's a Hard Life. Yeah, the falsetto intro, if you want it like the record, yeah, the early versions, Brussels, Dublin, Birmingham, namely the first one and the second one. And then some other ones where the whole intro is falsetto, like Stuttgart, and then the first Rio version. But if you want it like the record, probably your best bet is the first performance, Brussels. And then question 4. Full version of Killer Queen was never performed live. It's quite amazing because it was a big hit after all. No, the full version was never played live. It was always, condensed in a medley, whether it be one verse in '74 or 2 verses, from '75 onwards. But I don't believe it was performed live, and it's entirely probably because it was maybe too difficult to reproduce live, or they just wanted to seek it into like a medley. But I think they could have done it live. They just chose not to. 5. Question 5. Fat Bottom Girls has that great part where Freddie ad-libs please, But did he ever sing it live? I've never heard it. No, not like the record. I do not recall that phrase at all on any of the versions. I may go back and maybe find one, but off the top of my head, I can't remember that particular phrase on any live version. Question 7. Excuse me, question 6. Any thoughts how Cool Cat would have sounded live? No falsetto, it was just a strong live voice. Tell you the truth, I really don't know how he would do that live. I mean, maybe he would try some of the falsetto, but then again, maybe not. So it would be kind of an unpredictable guess. Who knows? But knowing Freddie's live style, if I'm going to go off Hot Space Tour, he probably would do it mostly maybe in his natural voice, maybe slip in a few falsettos, but probably not much falsetto. Question 7. What's your take on why he so seldom did falsetto live? He obviously could do it, but he rarely did. Yes, it's a bit risky, and he was often running around a lot and stuff, but I always felt he dodged the notes too often. Well, kind of like what an earlier user wrote, Malcav, I believe. Um, I think it might have been a mix of maybe vocal confidence, maybe something with the nodule or stamina, maybe was a problem, or projection issues. I mean, I'm glad he did do some falsetto live and showed off that he could do it, but I wish he did use it more, but I'll take what I can get. And then the last question. How did you become a fan of Elton? Was it around the same time as you started listening to Queen? I knew of Elton John around the time I started getting into Queen. Like, I knew like the casual hits and stuff, but I didn't become a fan of Elton until a little bit after Queen. I would say about 2008 into 2009 is when the Elton fandom started to develop. I ended up getting his Rocket Man Greatest Hits double disc compilation set, and then getting Too Low for Zero as my first Elton John studio album purchase. But Elton was a few years after Queen, and major fan of Elton John, my favorite solo artist. So big time fan of Elton John. Check out the GregsynthWizard channel for Elton John bootlegs. There's a little product placement for you. Thank you for the questions. Now we move to the next user here. Another subscriber that I've grown fond of due to his questions and comments and talking to me. He's got a hell of a lot of questions. 12 of them, and most of them have multiple parts, so I'll be probably losing my voice at the end. The user in question is Admiral Rigby. Also goes by the name of Simon, I believe, and is from Austria. So there we go. Hallo, wie geht es dir? Sorry if I mispronounced that. Admiral starts off with, "Hi, Greg. First of all, I want to thank you very much for your great work. I've learned so much about Queen and Elton John by listening to your uploads and hearing your comments and analysis about stuff." Yeah, well, you get a medal for that. I happily take the opportunity to ask you a few questions. Few in German means like 12 or 36 mini questions, by the way. Okay, so the first question is, have you ever been to Vienna, Austria? No, I have not. I would love to visit, though. I'll make it a priority to put Vienna and Austria in the top part of my European tour list. Next question. Since I'm from Vienna, I want to know your opinion about the best show and worst show Queen did in my hometown, and which one has the best recording quality. I haven't listened to all of them, but my guess is that 86 is the best, and the last 84 show is the worst one. Well, you're not too far off there. the 86 shows from the Magic Tour from Vienna have very, very good sound quality. The first night in particular is an awesome show. One of the best shows on the Magic Tour from the later part. Second Vienna is also good, but the first night has an edge to it, and it is a really good show. Quality is amazing. Um, they also did Vienna on the News of the World tour, and it's a good show overall. Pretty listenable quality. There's also a Vienna '82. There's two of them, and both are great shows overall. The second night in particular is really, really, really good. First performance of Body Language, quality is quite good. So yeah, the Hot Space Vienna shows are great. The News of the World show from Vienna is good. 84, oh, great sound quality, but that's the best I can say about those performances. And that's all I will say, because I do not want to put a stain on your hometown of Vienna by talking any more about Vienna 84's shows. Now, if we're talking about Elton John's Vienna 84, that's an entirely different story, but Queen's 84 shows from Vienna are best known for their great sound quality and different takes on songs from Freddie. Third question. Why do you think Freddie sang "Made Me Live Again" conservatively in shows? I'm sure he could have done the album phrasing easily. For example, on the U.S. leg of the Game tour, when he reached the high note, even at Hammersmith 75 when he was sick. I don't know, my best guess could be, a confidence thing, but it could be probably, because I haven't really had nodules, so I can't really objectively say how it feels. But my guess is maybe it has something to do with the placement of the note and maybe the vowel sound. Like I don't know, maybe it was in a bad spot on his chord or something. I don't know. But maybe it cycled with like a confidence thing. Like maybe it was like, ooh, maybe let me try it singing lower instead of the original phrasing. But it was probably just a mix of just confidence, issues, and maybe the old throat nodules were threatening to, squeal his voice. I don't know. Maybe I should ask Freddie. Um, Next question. Why do you think Freddie never used his falsetto in the Borat versus Live? I think it would have been much easier to sing for him, even at times where he would go for the A4 chest voice phrasing. I think if he regularly would have used it more live, he would develop it better and could have put much less stress on his voice in the long run. He would even do amazing falsetto impromptus at shows where his voice was really tired. I know that Malkov asked a similar question, but I want to express my thoughts more precisely. Well, everyone likes to know about the falsetto. Um, about the falsetto, again, probably something to do with maybe projection, and maybe it's something like the falsetto may have irritated the nodules more, or made it more prone to breaking, and maybe he was afraid that he couldn't project or produce a good tone, so he opted to be macho man and just belt it. Um, I mean, I would think that using falsetto would physically produce a note easier, but then again, with nodules, it's probably unpredictable. So not really sure why, but that's my best guess about that. And yeah, he did do amazing falsetto impromptus, even with a shot voice, because the falsetto was always intact. Next question. How would the set list of 20 songs for your ideal Queen show be like? Every album and single can be considered. If you already made such a list, please refer me to that one instead of answering again. I probably did a list of something of that sort on an earlier vlog. I remember something about like making your own live killers or something, and I may have mentioned a set list of 20-25 songs, but But, just for this sake, I'll do a full new set. So yeah, 20 songs. Let's start off with The Fast We Will Rock You. And then actually no, wait, scratch it. Let's make it a little bit unpredictable. Let's start with the introduction drone. We'll go into Tie Your Mother Down. Then we'll go into The Fast We Will Rock You. Then Let Me Entertain You. So, up tempo right there. Then, we can continue the fun. Let's put It's Late right there. Kind of a news of the world, start and set right there. And then after It's Late, we can do the whole medley of we can do Death on Two Legs, Killer Queen, and then I'm in Love with My Car. So we'll do that as 5. Now, we will not put Get Down Make Love at all in this set. This is going to be a slightly different set here. Then after I'm in Love with My Car, they do the little extended, instrumentation section, with my cats helping me out here. And then we'll have Freddie kind of, talk with the crowd. Prance around on stage and maybe do a little vocal improv or something. Then we'll go into Under Pressure. So that'll be song 6. We'll do 6. Then let's do Another One Bites the Dust. So Magic Tour-ish. Let's see, after Another One Bites the Dust. Let's do a wild card. And let's revive a song that should have been played more often. Let's revive White Queen. And hopefully Freddie will have his crazy tour voice. So we'll have White Queen. And then I would want a Providence 78 style where we'll do the intro to March of the Black Queen. So we'll have the intro to March of the Black Queen. And then what I want to see happen is after the intro, I want Freddie to then diddle around on the piano and then go into Spread Your Wings. So those would be the 9 songs. Spread Your Wings. And then also for 10, so we meet the halfway point. Let's do Liar from the first album. And there we go. So there's the halfway point. Hopefully it's an awesome version. So there's that. And then we'll slow things down a bit. We'll do Love of My Life. And then 39. So we got 12 songs there. And then let's revive Dreamer's Ball. And then, they put all that stuff away. Then they go back to the main stage. And then, to kick things off, 7 Seas a Rye. So 14 tracks right there. And then track 15. Let's end the main set with Now I'm Here. Now, it's up to you if you want a slower, bluesier tempo or the fast one. So it doesn't matter to me, because I can take both. So that'll be the end of the main set. Then, to begin the first encore, let's do Crazy Little Thing Called Love. And then we will do... We'll do Crazy Little Thing Called Love, so it'll be 16. And then let's see, and then 17. we'll do Keep Yourself Alive. And then it'll be the full version. So it won't go into Brighton Rock or any timpani solo or anything. So it'll be the full version. Band leaves the stage. Second encore. We'll do We Will Rock You, Champions, and then God Save the Queen. So I just threw 20 songs there. Probably I'll think of how that'll work, but I'll think of something. So there's some random songs for you there. So, and then the next question 6. How much do you like Billy Joel's music, and which are your favorite 3 albums and 5 favorite songs of him? I'm a casual fan of Billy Joel. I have a 2-disc greatest hits compilation. I don't have any of his studio albums per se, but 5 songs I really love by him. I love An Innocent Man. We Didn't Start the Fire. Piano Man, cliche. New York State of Mind is awesome, and I love Honesty. So there's 5 songs for you. Question 7. Do you like Ricky Lee Jones's music? Which album songs do you know of hers? I can really recommend her music because I absolutely love it. If you want to, start with the first 4 albums. Well, I haven't heard of her, but I will check her out after this vlog goes up. Question 7. Which Elton show would you recommend anyone who likes his music but isn't really into him, just to show how great he has been live? Well, it depends, because Elton's done so many twists and turns, so many different shows. I would start with 2 shows. There would be, an Elton solo show with just him, with either by himself or with Ray Cooper, and then a band show. If you and since he's got so many different eras, with his voice and stuff, I would do a few different shows. For Elton and Ray Cooper, I would go with something like Boston '79, or something like the Moscow show. And then later on, maybe something like Fort Lauderdale '93. And then for band stuff, and then also if you want Elton solo with just him, Edinburgh '76, which is a really good show, and some of the stuff from '99 like Moline is great. And then for band stuff, probably, let's see. If you want to get into Elton and get into the early stuff, maybe some early stuff like maybe Tokyo '71 is a great 3-piece band. Really love that show. The 171170 album is also great. If you want something more official. Later stuff. Something like Kansas City '82 would be great. Wembley '84. Wembley '85. So there's some suggestions. Question 9. Which is their favorite era, consisting of 1 to 3 years, of Paul McCartney, songwriting wise and voice wise? My favorite era for his songwriting. That's very good. Well, I do like Wings. So, so probably that stretch from like Band on the Run through to Wings at the Speed of Sound. So about 3 years in that era, or something like maybe there's the 2-year span of McCartney and then Ram, or the McCartney 2 and the Tug of War stuff. That stuff's awesome. I love Tug of War. That's probably one of my favorite albums he's released. Or something like that. Voice wise, let's see. Paul McCartney. I'm assuming we're just talking about him solo post Beatles. Voice-wise, oh, you gotta go with the Ram stuff. McCartney and Ram, just fucking amazing singing. 70, 71, Paul. Get out of his way because he will knock you over with his voice. Um, I would probably pick that. And if you want mellower stuff where he still has a nice good tone, probably the Tug of War era and the Pipes of Peace era are also up there too. And then question 10. Your favorite Beatles album and song? Um, my favorite Beatles album. Well, I love Revolver. I love Sgt. Pepper. Magical Mystery Tour's great. I'll go with Revolver for now. But my favorite song by the Beatles, it'll probably be different, but this one's been consistent. I'm gonna have to go with, it may sound cliche, but I'm gonna have to go with Yesterday. I think it's amazing song. It's just, Paul and his guitar and then the strings. It's just, I absolutely love Yesterday. One of my absolute favorite songs of all time. It is an awesome song. And then question 11. What do you think about the trend of loud mastering using heavy dynamic compression, which started in the mid-90s? I hate it. I hate this loudness war garbage and squeezing every drop of volume out and crushing the dynamics. I hate that. I hate the clipping. I hate the loudness war. Also regarding remasters being released, which are supposed to sound better, but in most cases, the prime example being Queen. They sound inferior because the natural dynamics of the songs get lost and you get tired of the music inside, which I agree with, because there's some dynamic compression on some of those later remasters, like the 2011 ones. I still have the Hollywood Records versions of these albums, so I mean they're all on my shelf. So I mean those have a pretty good dynamic range. And then let's see here, just my opinion, but I hate this behavior because it ruins so many great songs. Also recent ones of many artists. Completely agree with you on that. I hate the loudness competition at radio stations where quality should be the reason something is played, not volume. Again, bang on. Dynamic volume transports the emotion of music. Compressing it too heavily destroys most of the emotional value, which is true because I don't want to hear something fucking acoustic or something that's supposed to be nice and soft to be blasting at the same volume as like a loud guitar. It just sucks the emotion and the tone out of the song. A suggestion: check the dynamic range meter to check any song you want, or go to the Loudness War site, which is a database. Yeah, I know that site and I love that site. It's a very good site and I love looking at stuff to see how bad it's been brickwalled. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Next question: have you got any original Queen album on vinyl? I got News of the World and Opera, and they sound much better than the 2011 remasters on CD. Also got the original Greatest Hits 1 and 2 releases on CD, and they sound great and have a bunch of dynamics. No, I do not have any vinyl Queen albums. I just have the CDs and then digital versions inside the computer for backup. And I have a cassette of it's either Queen 1 or Queen 2. It's up in my closet somewhere. I wanted to see what it sounded like. I found it in a thrift store for 25 cents, so I just had to get it. But I do have that. And then the last question: have you got a turntable and do you listen to vinyl? I thank you very, very much for taking the time to answer these questions, Greg. I wish you the best in life and that your wishes come true. Well, I wish for a new voice because my throat is killing me right now doing all this talking. Maybe you can, ship one over from Vienna or something. But yeah, I did have a turntable at one point. I didn't really use it, to be honest. It just sat there collecting dust, and I collected a couple of vinyl record albums, from Elton and stuff, just to put on display. But maybe I should get another turntable just to, try it again, because I really didn't listen to it on the turntable. I didn't really use it. I just used the digital stuff. And yeah, no more questions. So there's like 13 of them, and I almost blew my voice. Thank you for all that. And then Sam Cheshire. Let's see what we got here. Hi, Greg. Here are my questions for the next GregsynthVlog. Will you be uploading the new source of Manchester 86? Yes, I will. Best source out of all of them. Will you be uploading the new source of Nagoya 75? Absolutely, since I was the one who purchased the fucking show. Of course I'll be uploading it. And then, I'll write something about it. What's your favorite Works Tour concert from both 84 and 85? 84, toss up between Stuttgart and Sun City. And then for 85, I will say it's a toss up between the first two Tokyo shows. And what's my favorite Japan 79 show? Well, gotten this far before fucking Japan 79 gets mentioned. My favorite one, well, for comedic purposes, it would probably be either 423 or Fukuoka. But for overall performance, I would probably say the 413 show, the first one, even though it's incomplete, because the performances on there are very good and very surprising. But if you want like a more complete show, I'll probably go with the Osaka show, the first night, because Freddie sounds okay-ish and the band sound great and it's great quality. And then we have James. As I get my notes in order here. James asks, a bunch of questions, and then he says, my questions, what's your favorite Japan 76 show? I would have to say March 31st. Everyone is having a good night at the office. Freddie sounds very good. Band are tight. Crowd is great. Good quality. Best versions of Teo Toriate. Let's see. Full version, it's Sapporo 82. It's much better than the Tokorozawa one. And if you want like kind of shorter versions, the ones from later 81 Japan shows are quite nice. Opinion on the song Drowse from A Day at the Races. I like it. It's a good song. Night at the Opera or Day at the Races. I like Day at the Races a lot. For me, the last truly great Queen album, in the sense that there's no bad songs. Night at the Opera is a masterpiece. It's their 10 out of 10 for me. Their magnum opus. Best album they've ever done. Most dynamic album, most diverse. Love that album. Never get sick of it. I don't even care if it's Bo Rap. I can listen to any song off that album and be satisfied. What one track from any of the first 5 albums would you pick for them to revive on the Magic Tour? Okay, Magic Tour. Let's see. For the first album, the full version of Liar. For the Queen 2 album, let's see. I'm thinking Freddie's voice here. How that style. I would say probably the full 7 Seas of Rye with the A's in it. If not, maybe I don't want to say White Queen, because I don't think that Magic Tour voice can deliver the song too well, even though it'd be very powerful. But yeah, I'll go with the 7 Seas of Rye full version. Sheer Heart Attack. How about the full version of In the Lap of the Gods Revisited? There's one for you. And then let's see here. Then first 5. Night at the Opera. Okay, Magic Tour. Let's see. See, Death on Two Legs would be cool, but it wouldn't have the same feeling. I don't know, maybe revive I'm in Love with My Car, final Queen tour, give Roger his song back. Um, and then for Day at the Races, the fifth Queen album. Uh, Somebody to fucking love. I mean, come on. I mean, I would love to hear a Magic Tour version of that. So there you go. And then let's see. Favorite contemporary music artist. Okay, someone who's fairly new on the scene. Let's see. I do like Bruno Mars quite a bit. I think he's very talented and has a lot of cool songs, and he's a very, very good singer. Um, if Amy Winehouse counts, I would say, her stuff is really good. Let's see, what's another one I really like? There's a UK based band that I saw open for Motley Crue and Kiss back in 2012 called The Treatment, and they got some cool songs and some cool albums out there, and they have a style. It's hard rock, pop rock, but they got some cool stuff there. They had this really cool song called you know called Face the Mountain, I believe, and it's a very, very, very good song, and I absolutely love it. Actually, no, wait. Sorry. What's the name of that? Shake the Mountain. I'm sorry. Shake the Mountain is the name of the song. It's a really cool song. Let's see. Favorite album not from Queen. Okay, some masterpiece albums. Probably like Madman Across the Water from Elton John. Uh, Flaming Pie or Tug of War from Paul McCartney. Abigail from King Diamond. Defenders of the Faith from Judas Priest. Iron Maiden's debut album with Paul Di'Anno. Power Slave for Bruce Dickinson era. Let's see. What are some other ones I love to death? Maybe Def Leppard's early albums like On Through the Night and High and Dry. Those are my favorites. I also like Pyromania, but I would put the first two over it. I would say that's a healthy amount, and then another one is a blues album, a blues rock album called "I Got a Mind to Travel" by Coco Montoya. On that was the first album I ever bought, with allowance money back in like I want to say about 97-ish, late 90s. Still have it. It's all beat up and shit, but the CD's still in good shape. So yeah, there's some ones. Let's see. Are you running? Oh, my mind is running right now. I'm currently sitting down with fat cats on my lap right here. I mean, look at this crap. Holly's right on my lap there, and Jupiter's right there. So yeah, I love these cats. Are you keen to try avant-garde jazz music? I'll get a couple drinks in me and some stuff in me, and we'll see how that turns out. What one question would you ask Freddie if he was alive? Let's see. If I met Freddie, if I had to ask him one question, I would ask him. I would say, how did you develop your voice? I would ask him questions about how he developed it and what he did to get that voice and stuff like how did he become such a talented, amazing singer? That's what I would ask him. and then I would ask him how great his mustache is. But I would ask the voice question first. Let's see, next question. If you could join Queen, which role in the band would you choose? Well, let's see. Instrumentally, I wouldn't do nothing. I'll let everybody else stay on their instruments. I'll be the dude recording all the shows and just listening to them and writing about them and then telling Freddie about Japan 79. So yeah, I'll be that guy. And then let's see, whatever happened to John Deacon? He retired. He retired from public life. And he's a quiet guy and just lives his life in peace. And I do see him sign autographs, for judging from videos, but he retired from the music business and is living his life, very quietly. More power to him. Worst Queen song. Okay, yeah, there's a few contenders for that. Let's see. Body Language is one. Don't Lose Your Head is another. That Piece of Crap, Man on the Prowl. 1 Year of Love. Pain is so close to pleasure is terrible. My Baby Does Me and Rain Must Fall from the Miracle are hideous. I mean, I cringe thinking about those songs. Party and Khashoggi Ship aren't exactly my favorites either. And then from the last album, Delilah isn't a favorite. So there's a number of songs I could probably stick up there for the worst one. If I had to narrow it down, it would probably be a three-way tie between My Baby Does Me, Pain is So Close to Pleasure, and probably something like Rain Must Fall. I mean, the only reason why I'm not putting Body Language up there is even though I think it sucks, there's like something fun about that song. It's a guilty pleasure of sorts, and I've been caught singing it very badly in public. So there you go. James also asks me, if I had a time machine, what Queen show would I attend? I would attend a show that is featured on that Crazy Tour poster. It would be the Tottenham Mayfair show from December 19th. Tiny club, only a few hundred people could fit in it. Bar is a few yards from the stage. Can't fit the fucking lights in, so you gotta put a few lights around the drums. And Freddie is this close to you, telling stories and being super chatty. I would love to be at that show. That's the one show I would pick. If I was in a time machine. And then, Is This the World We Created? A good song from the Works album. I really like that song. And yes, this is the world. And then, final person, going by the name of Queen Rocks 1997. Only asks one question, but it's a question with some humor behind it. It goes, do you know why Freddie's voice is so shit in every Japanese concert, especially in 1982? Well, he's fine on the Sheer Heart Attack. He's fine on the Sheer Heart Attack tour, so any of that stuff's fine. But true, he was very inconsistent from post-Sheer Heart Attack tours. Some of that could be because where it is on the touring schedule. I mean, sometimes Japan is at the very end of the last tour leg. So, the voice is worn down and shit. And also, you're flying all over the world. Maybe the time zones and jet lag can affect, a guy singing. Not enough cool down time and just want to get into the show and stuff. So it's probably just, not maintaining the voice, long tour. Especially in 82. Yeah, they had about 6 weeks off in between tour legs, but it's like Freddie still sounded pretty shot on half those shows. But yeah, I mean, it's basically not maintaining the voice in between tour legs, and then probably partying, jet lag, climate, weather, and where these shows are in the tour. Now, for 81, where it's at the beginning of the year, my guess why Fred's unstable throughout that leg, not using the voice enough. Doesn't sound like warmed up for the tour, and so you're getting the bugs out of the voice. So that's my guess on that. And then 85 is pretty good overall. Only one night he's rough at, but every other night is fine and even very good. So it's kind of a crapshoot, but musically the shows in Japan are almost always top notch. So at least there's that. And then Japan 79. Won't say anything further. So yeah, that concludes the GregsynthVlog for December 28th. This is the last vlog of the year. I will see you guys next year, and there will be a new vlog coming up in probably the next month and a half. I will try to find a tour date, to upload that one on. So there we go. I got through your questions, and if you have more questions, just submit them to me via Facebook or YouTube comments, YouTube messages, my email. I will copy and paste them and answer them. So hopefully you enjoyed this GregsynthVlog, and hopefully my cats enjoyed it. And I will see you guys in the near future. Bye-bye.